And welcome back to Framingham Now. I'm Jack Patrick Lewis, State Representative for the 7th Middlesex District, and today we're having conversations with the two candidates running to be the District City Councilor for District 2, and that includes the current precincts 3 and 5. We just had a conversation with Pam Richardson, and we're continuing our dialogue with Jeanne Bullock. Thank you so much, Jeanne, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
I know you had an accident recently, and
yes.
The campaign, maybe you're not out there knocking on doors as many hours as you had once hoped, but I'm just so grateful that you were able to come today, and we have a couple minutes to introduce you to those handful of folks that maybe haven't met you yet.
Well, actually, I've been in Framingham since 1969, wow. In the same house, didn't move around, and I've raised my 2 children here, and I have 6 grandchildren, but they're all older, no little ones. And I am a graduate of Framingham State College. It was a college back then. I did that while raising the 2 children and working part-time and doing everything else. But it was a great experience. It's a great school to go to, and it's a great school to continue your education at. So I was happy there. After that, I am currently retired. The last job I worked with was for 17 years for Arkwright Mutual Insurance Company. I was an international accounting specialist. That sounds funny. They needed a title. This is what you do.
Sounds very important.
It sounds well.
What does it do?
You do the international accounting.
Okay.
Because nobody else does the international accounting, and they gave people grade levels, and for the grade level I was, the title didn't match. So we gave them an accounting specialist. Since you did the international accounting, that's what you did. And it was really fantastically interesting because I got used to using big figures. We did just property damage, but for the Fortune 500 companies and overseas. And so big figures didn't bother me. So when I went to town meeting and they were talking about large figures for certain things, that wasn't scary. Mm-hmm. I could understand it. But the most important thing is I've been in town meeting for over 25 years. I've been on the Capital Budget Committee for over 23 years. That's an appointed committee. And so I was reappointed by several moderators. These things are the best education for municipal government you can ever imagine, because the Capitol includes all the infrastructure, the buildings, everything, and things that people don't think of. The pipes, water pipes, sewer pipes, roads, everything has to be done. And people don't think about it. Even roofs, how important it is to do a roof on a school before the water comes in, and how expensive it is. So I've got a chance to work with the different people in town meeting, and also the professionals that work for the town. And they have been fantastic about getting information to the Capital Budget Committee, mostly because, well, at first, we had to be a little more demanding because we didn't get it. But since it's the last change of the last charter, the capital process is very streamlined, and we get very detailed information about the costs, the projects, and how long it takes to do a project. Mm-hmm. We just approved the money for in District 2 for the new fire station, which we've needed for a long time. And people will think, well, why didn't we do it earlier? But we have been looking for a place, they've been looking for a place where we could do it and not have to buy the land. What did we own that we could do it on, because that saves millions of dollars and make it cheaper. Not that it will be a cheap project, it's a very well-designed project. The neighbors would listen to, they met with the neighbors, and then finally the design was done. You have to put the money aside for the design, and finally the final vote. So we're going to have a nice new fire station. And they took into account things like it's a drive-through, so that the trucks, when they back in, will not have that beep, beep, beep sound in the middle of the night and bother all the neighbors. These whole things are important. And why I'm running is because of all the experience I've had in municipal government continually. I know what we have done that has worked, what hasn't worked, and it's sort of like how can I say it? This is my home. I want to continue getting the good things done. There are things that have to be done. Athenaeum Hall is in District 2. Now, we couldn't really decide what to do with that until we decide what's going to happen to the old fire station, partly because there's no place in Athenaeum Hall to put a elevator or really handicapped accessible bathrooms, and the thought was to put a sort of a corridor between the two buildings. But we have to decide what, if we are going to keep that fire station at all, so that we can do those things. Because if we do work on Athenaeum Hall, it has to be handicapped accessible, has to have the right bathrooms, has to have elevators. And in an old building, it's very difficult. All these things are important. The other things that are important is, which I feel a little bad about, was the, we're not going to have a Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh. We all have our priorities.
No, well, this is because, in a way, I understand what stopped it. It wasn't the town, the business part of it. It was citizens who decided that they can appeal it, even if after we approve it, they can appeal it and put a stop to it and make it difficult. And that's in any place. Those are state statutes. We can't change that. Whether we're a city or a town, that's the same. But this man has managed to keep a mall, a strip-type mall, occupied with very good places. And the way we can keep them occupied is by people who live around there using them. That helps. If you want to have these places occupied and not just
have to shop there,
not like Knobscott, you have to use them. And I don't want to give plugs for certain.
No worries. And I know you've jumped right into the parts of your district, District 2, just to remind folks that includes precincts 3 and 5. I'm curious if we could talk a little bit about sort of town-wide, soon-to-be citywide issues.
Okay.
We only have a couple more minutes left,
Right,
so if you want to hit on some highlights of what are your priorities if you're elected to the City Council?
Well, we're going to need more schools because the population's going up. That's important. We were already working on getting, trying to get state funding for Fuller, in the Fuller Middle School. There are, coming up in the next couple of years, roofs on schools that are very expensive and that have to be done. But there's going to be more space needed, and a decision is going to have to be made about what to do with the Folly that we rent out now. But we'd like to keep Mass Bay, too. And Mass Bay is a good thing to have within the whole town. I want to see the Park and Recs continue to do the things they're doing. One of the things they're doing now throughout some of the towns is putting little pocket parks. If there's a little piece of land that's available, you put a little pocket park, because these are in crowded areas and not, well, there's a lot of space. There's also Cushing, which is fantastic. Yes. This was a good thing because it was done so economically compared to, and we got grants for every stage and got the land actually for $1 from the state. Wow. People say, we want to keep as much open space as possible, but we have to do it within our budget. And we have to do it equally. We have to have it within the whole town. We can't have it just in one area of town. There has to be open space for everybody. There has to be good schools for everyone. These are our main priorities, the schools, the open space. Now, I know, in case people don't know, in the downtown area, there have been 2 apartment complexes already approved by town meeting, and already both of them have been given TIFs, which are, they get a reduction in the taxes for a while, a certain number of years. And that's to get an incentive for them to build there. We want to fix the downtown. And getting people there near the train station is very important. But we can't just do like, all right, Mount Wade, the number of apartments there in a very small space, I'm a little worried about it because it's not finished yet. I mean, it's not done completely. You have to go to the planning board. But it worries me because We have to worry about facilities like police, fire, water and sewer. Do we have those? We've just done a lot of work on Franklin Street. Do we have enough capacity in those water pipes for that many apartments, or is it going to hurt the pressure to throw it down? It's sort of like everything is connected.
Mm-hmm.
How do I put it? You know, people say, well, we can do this and that. Somebody said something, Tilden, he was running for mayor. He didn't make it, but he said something. We can't get ourselves out of our financial difficulties, they're not as bad as people think, with apartments, just apartments. We need commercial places. And some of the places where we have places where we can do light manufacturing, that would be something which would help with jobs, but would help in a way that a lot of apartment buildings are going to bring a lot of schools. Mm-hmm. And apartment buildings, although they are valued at a commercial rate, their tax rate is the residential tax rate. So you get less money for that amount of space than if it's a commercial building, at least less tax money, property tax money. These have to be thought of and brought into. If is a great big apartment complex in a very small area, a small piece of land, is it going to cost us more than money we're going to get in, which would be worse?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No. Unfortunately, our time goes by so quickly, and so we have less than a minute left. But I want to ask you a question I'd like to ask everybody. You know, what is it about Framingham? You have made this your home. You have ran for office in the past. You have represented your precinct. But now you're running for a district position, and I have to think that it not only says something about you and the other people running, but it says something about the town that you're running to represent. So tell me about what it is about Framingham in maybe 30 seconds or less.
30 seconds or less, okay. I moved to Framingham because it wasn't a bedroom community, because it had diversity. Diversity is the most important thing because this gives us, our children, a view of the world. A much better view than if they lived in a bedroom community where everybody's the same. And because of that diversity, it's more interesting. The people you meet are more interesting. The people I've met in town meeting from all over the world that get involved in government because they suddenly can. It's amazing. It's sort of like, how can I say it? It makes it more exciting to me. It makes it a more interesting place to live, to have different people, to have different cultures, to have different ideas. These give you a better view of the world and a better view of where you stand in the world. I'm not, I'm a sort of, partly because I'm also very mixed. It's, you know, I mean, there's different, Eastern European and coming from the Mayflower. Mm-hmm. My father's side comes from the Mayflower. They're very English and Welsh. And my mother's side is all Eastern European, with different places. And it's because of these different things coming together, I think it's important that we really realize that the world is a whole connection. Everything we do, like pollution in Ashland has ruined the Sudbury River. They used to be able to catch fish there and eat it. You can't do that anymore. That's why we have
interconnected.
It's everything is connected.
Framingham is a microcosm of the world. It's a global community.
Yeah.
That being said, it's also interconnected with all the towns around it. Jeanne, I hate to cut you off, but
sorry.
We're out of time. No, I am so grateful that you're running. I'm so grateful that you came in today to have this conversation. For those watching at home, remember that November 7th is Election Day. You'll have an opportunity to vote for a mayoral candidate, 2 at-large city councilors, your district representative, and if you live in district...
School committee.
Yes, everyone always reminds me about school committee. I'll get there, If you live in precinct 3 and 5, the newly formed District 2, your options are Jeanne Bullock and Pam Richardson. Remember that wherever you voted in the last election or a year or 2 ago, you still vote there. If you're in precinct 3, you're still in precinct 3, you vote at King School. If you're in precinct 5, you're still in precinct 5, you vote at Walsh Middle School. You're now also a part of this newly formed District 2. Thanks for the reminder. You'll also be voting for one of two candidates to represent your district on the school committee.
Actually, there's only one candidate for
One candidate for your area. So
one candidate for school committee.
for District 2.
Yes.
Excellent. I think it's unfortunate the school committee candidates haven't got as much attention. The mayoral race has absorbed a lot of attention. I think
Most
to some
of the
extent,
attention.
rightfully so. In 2 years, when the mayor's halfway through their term and we're doing the district positions again, both for school committee and the district city council positions, there'll be no excuse not to focus exclusively on
And hopefully,
those races.
I won't be disabled.
I wish you the best of luck with your
Thank you very
ongoing
much.
recovery. For those watching at home, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time.